Hello and welcome back to another popcorn chat. I've literally just got back from Forbidden Worlds Film Festival, May 2023, where I saw lots of films, I helped volunteer, and let's get into my experience of the weekend. It's held at the back of the Bristol Aquarium where they have an IMAX screen, which is disused, but we use it now for the film festival. So I volunteered previously back in October 2022 and I was asked to come back again in 2023 and I really enjoyed it, so I wanted to help out and come and see loads of classics that maybe I've missed or I've seen before, but this time on the big screen. So whilst I'm at the event, I obviously help out the team where I can, whether it's working on the doors, scanning people's tickets, just being, helpful to anyone attending the event. And when I'm not doing that, I have the option to go and check out some films. So I'll run you through the films that I saw this weekend. So the first film that I watched this weekend was Royal Warriors. So the festival itself was themed around creature features, a lot of action films, and also having a lot of Michelle Yeoh's earlier films, that sort of helped to launch her career. So I hadn't seen this film, I didn't really know what it was about. So the film stars Michelle Yeoh, Michael Wong, Hiroyuki Sanada, Michael Chan. There's loads of big names in here in terms of Eastern cinema. I'll be honest, I'm always trying to deepen my sort of knowledge on, international cinema, sort of non-English speaking language films, and this was a great one to go and watch. So I gave this film 4 stars. I thought this film was super fun. I love the balance of action and romance, as well as the duality of friendships. The last act feels a little bit departed from the first 2/3 of the film. Nonetheless, I had good fun. This was a great film to watch with an audience. It was comical, it was action-packed, it brought out loads of different reactions from the crowd. It's a great film and I'd highly recommend checking it out. Next up, we have The Way of the Dragon. I think I've only seen one of the Bruce Lee film before, and I think that's Enter the Dragon, which I thought was okay. I didn't really love it too much, but I was curious to check this one out. Again, didn't know anything going in. I just knew it was a Bruce Lee film. I gave this film 4 stars out of 5. So in this, I thought that Bruce Lee was really strong, and I think that comes from him being involved in the whole project. The humour's great and the stunt choreography is awesome. I love the running gag of Bruce Lee's upset stomach since landing in Rome, and seeing Bruce Lee fight a very hairy Chuck Norris in the Colosseum on the IMAX screen at Forbidden Worlds Film Festival was a sight to behold. As I said, it's a great film to have seen in the IMAX. There's definitely a lot of kung fu fans and martial art fans in the audience, so they absolutely loved it. And I think, like myself, there's other people that hadn't seen the film, so it was a great one to see on the big screen, seeing the fights, and it wasn't until afterwards that I realised that was Chuck Norris, when someone told me. So of course it's Chuck Norris. So on Friday in the evening, the last film of the day was Dolls from 1987. It's directed by Stuart Gordon. Hadn't even heard this title. All I saw was the poster. And obviously I thought there's going to be some killer dolls, the sort of films that we all love. So I gave this film 3.5 stars out of 5. So I thought Ralph and Judy are iconic in this film, giving us dialogue that you want many horror movie characters to say in these situations, but they just don't. The animation of dolls themselves are pretty good and holds up really well. A surprisingly good watch. This was really good fun. I think, like I said, the dialogue was excellent. It balanced the humour and sort of self-awareness that, of the film and, horrors in general. It very much played into the expectations of a horror film, and I liked that. It was very much, breaking the fourth wall in that way. And when I watched the film, I looked up who the director was and realised it was the same guy who did Reanimator. So that kind of makes sense in terms of the tone and the genre. But it's definitely worth checking out. I think this was a Arrow special, so go and check it out if you're into your physical media. You can get it through Arrow. On Saturday, we started the day with Return to Oz. Now, I'd never seen this film, heard a lot of people talking about this in terms of watching it in their childhood and sort of, feeling very nostalgic about it. So I was curious to finally see this, and what a great place to go and watch it. So I gave Return to Oz 3 stars out of 5. Seeing this for the first time at 27, I didn't get to have the traumatic viewing experience many children had. Nonetheless, I can see where those terrifying elements are and could be terrifying to a younger audience. As a lover of the original and whose favourite musical is Wicked, this is nothing like that. Some of the dialogue was witty and made for the adults watching this. My favourite character was the chicken and TikTok, providing a more macabre outlook to a child's film. Jean Marsh is iconic as the princess with her outfits and just general attitude. I'm sure more modern audiences would adore. Overall, it was a good film, but because I didn't have that nostalgia, maybe it didn't have as big as an impact on me. So yeah, I thought this was a good film. Being a lover of the world of Wizard of Oz, I kind of had, fairly high expectations. But I thought it was, like I said, I thought it was decent, but overall, it's nothing compared to the original and the musicals, all of that surrounding that original story. It's not really needed in terms of the characters. But hey ho, I think it's a fun film that many children have enjoyed. Next up, we have a cinematic classic, and that was King Kong 1933. Again, I hadn't seen this film, but obviously I feel like, most people have seen this at, film school. I missed out on this one, so what a great way to see this on the big screen. So I gave this film 3.5 stars out of 5. The animation in this film holds up really well. To say it was made in 1933 is amazing. I'll be honest, I was going into this film with the knowledge of the plot, mainly due to The Simpsons, so I had that reference. The first act is a little slow, but the film as a whole is clearly a pivotal point of cinema. Anne Darrow is literally a damsel in distress, which isn't helped by the hysterical nature of her character. The dialogue is a little dated in its references to women, but if you look past that, you'll see a significant piece of cinema. Despite different aspects of the film, not really holding up by today's standards, I do think this is a crucial part of cinema that, everyone should watch, whether you're into animation or not. I think this is, very much a key part of understanding narrative and appreciating, sort of mixed mediums in film. I think this is one that everyone should watch if they haven't already. And the film that I watched on Saturday evening was Cliffhanger. Again, a film I've not seen, I've not seen many Stallone films, to be honest. This came out in 1993 and was directed by Rennie Harlin. The pure setting of this film made for a dramatic, high-tension action film. With Stallone at the forefront of this film, there's going to be cheesy catchphrases, explosions, and things that will make you want to cheer with excitement. There's an interesting element set up in the first part to do with Stallone's character. However, there isn't much emotional development to that factor. It becomes much more about the action. It was a decent action movie, one of the better ones I've seen of Stallone's work so far. This came up in recent conversation after watching Demolition Man. This has come up in sort of the suggested films to watch, however, I was holding off. And then luckily this was announced as part of the scheduling for Forbidden Worlds. It was a great film to see with an audience. People were literally cheering at certain character moments, which I won't spoil. The whole landscape is excellent, it's ice cold, and I genuinely felt really cold in the screening. There's great bits of action. John Lithgow's got some great dialogue, though I think the English accent's pretty bad. It's worth checking out if you haven't seen it like myself before. Seeing this one on the big screen was definitely one of my favourites in terms of the sound design, hearing that surround sound, the vibrations on the seats from the helicopter, and the general sort of landscape setting. I think that'd be great to see in future film festivals. Having more of those sort of scenic pieces on that big screen would be great. So the first one that I caught on Sunday morning was Invaders from Mars, which came out in 1953. So I gave this film 2.5 stars out of 5. What I really liked about this film was seeing the whole experience through David's eyes. The military aspect and their approach to aliens must have been the first of its kind, and we've seen it time and time again in modern sci-fi invasion films. The alien design was comical, especially seeing it in the 21st century for the first time, and also I thought that the ending was confusing and abrupt, and I'm still not really sure what happened. Like I say, there's elements including the military intervention, which feels like, given in any kind of modern sort of sci-fi film, which I imagine was probably sort of first introduced in this film. But like I say, the ending, that last act, kind of really drew me out and didn't love this film too much. The final film that I watched at the Forbidden Worlds Film Festival May 2023 was Assault on Precinct 13. As with most of the films I've spoken about, I didn't know anything about this film going into it. I didn't even know it was directed by John Carpenter until this sort of, half an hour before going to see it. So I gave this film 3.5 stars out of 5. I thought this was another well-crafted and directed film from John Carpenter with a killer synth score. The leads were charismatic and the setup was an interesting look at the policing system, but maybe it could have said more. All I'm going to say is I'm never going to get an ice cream from the ice cream truck ever again. I think this is another great film from John Carpenter. It doesn't really beat, Halloween and They Live for me, but maybe some more sort of, reflection on this and research. I might pull a few more things out of it, and obviously a rewatch will really help. But I think this was great to see in the cinema. There was moments where people were laughing at the dialogue, when you're supposed to, and there was great action scenes and those sort of shock moments, and that score just really sounded great hearing it in the cinema. So there you have it. There's all the films that I watched at Forbidden World Film Festival, May 2023. I watched 8 films, could have watched more, you know, but obviously you've got to balance, you know, helping out where you can with the team, having some downtime, not staring at a screen, but obviously still getting some films. You know, I hadn't seen any of those films before that I watched on screen, so I've definitely had, you know, a bit of an education in terms of a lot of classic cinema, you know, sort of Asian cinema. I've really learned a lot this weekend and ticked off a lot on my watch list. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're interested in the festival, it sounds like something you're interested in, I will leave a link down below. It is Bristol based, but you know, some people do travel a little bit further afield. Hopefully they'll be doing one later in the year, so I'll leave a link to the website so you guys can check it out, and make sure you follow all their social medias to keep up to date with any notifications about future events, and you know, speak to them if it sounds like something you're interested in. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you very soon for another popcorn chat.